Good evening. We must be gentle how we discuss today's topic. It's a very painful topic, but one that about one third of us fall victim to. It is one we must understand. It's a topic we must understand to prepare ourselves to overcome. Yes, causes of divorce. We gotta ask ourselves, why do most marriages end up in divorce? We just might ask ourselves a few things. Do we just fall out of love? Is this just happenstance? Is it because people actually believe that marriage no longer matters? Or cohabitation? There gotta be more to it than we know. And that's why I'm inviting you to join us at Diaspora Forum as we discuss causes of divorce today. Watch this. Once again, like I said, please, we'll be very glad if you go watch our website, diasporaforum.net, and remember, we'll be going Patreon soon. Please join us as we go Patreon so that once we come live, you actually participate and contribute to our cause so we can bring you value content messages to you every week, as we've been doing for almost about a year now. Yes. But first of all, before we go into this proper, like I always do, let's hear what our elders have to say about this. Yes, take a look at that proverb. It is quite clear. It says, choose your company. Yes, choose your company before you sit. Yeah, choose your company before you sit down. There's an African proverb, and our elders got it right. Most of us jump into marriage because we're infatuated with one thing or the other. But we got to get it right. You got to find somebody who really understands you. You got to find a friend, your friend. You got to find this person that brings out the best in you. Now, yes, you have to understand how both sides work. But once again, we're going to go into the nitty-gritty of this and find out why most marriages, end up in divorce. Once again, did you know? Yes, did you know? Take a look at that proverb. There's something we'll see here. And like we said, this is why we must study, we must know our history. Did you know that it was once illegal? Yes, illegal for Negro women to stay at home and take care of their own children in Greenville, South Carolina, USA. You don't believe it? There it is in Greenfield News in 1918. Yeah, take a close look at it. This was in 1918, 100 years ago. At that time, 53 years after the 13th Amendment ended slavery. You may ask why this? This was at the height of World War I. Most men had gone to war and African American women stayed home to comfort and raise their children. Caucasian households could not find enough laundresses, housekeepers, and nannies to take care of their children. So they cried out to their kinsmen in government, regardless of whether they wanted it or not, or they have to. Able-bodied Negro women who were not regularly employed were forced and put to work, or they put them in jail or fined heavily. Yes. This is why we have to study critical race theory. Now you know. Like I said, check it out. Greenville News, 1918. Like I said, now you know. It's important you know your history. Once again, like I said, causes of divorce. We have to ask ourselves, what is the problem? But then guess what? Research led us to, we discovered that we see red flags. We see red flags at the beginning of a relationship, and then they are left unattended because we just believe that when we get married, that one party will change. No, the leopard does not change its color, no matter the rain, no matter what. The way you see someone when you were in a relationship with them, that's how they be when you get married. And at the end of the day, tension continues to mount. Regardless if one party says it or not, they hate themselves for keeping quiet. It almost always metamorphosizes, catapults to, to divorce in marriage. That might not be the only thing, but again, sometimes there might be, both parties might be might have incompatible financial goals. Yes. One's goal might just be different. One might be a planner. One might want to invest money, but the other one might be a spendthrift, just spending whatever money there are, not adding anything to the relationship. Just ask yourself, yes, when getting into a relationship, ask yourself, what do I add to this relationship? It's not enough to go to bed. It's not enough to be beautiful, because at the end of the day, one day, the beauty will all fade away. The power is something to people, but not at home. If not, ask Jeff Bezos, ask, the Kardashians, ask Princess Diana. Look, ask them, and at the end of the day, it's about the two people in the room when all the click lights are off. Yes, when all the lights are off, you know yourself. You gotta have your goals, your financial goals must be compatible. Yes, and unrealistic and and unrealized goals. Yes, some people might just want to comparing themselves with the Joneses. All fingers are not equal. We might want to do the same thing other people did, but it's not going to work. And when we push too hard, some people just cannot take it, and at the end of the day, it leads to divorces. Yes, and then of course infidelity. No matter how we say this, people might turn their faces, turn their eyes, but at the end of the day, it leads to lack of trust, and it leads to self-doubt. Yes, it leads to self-doubt, and at the end of the day, people just don't care no more. Then there'll be emotional drift, and once there's emotional drift, guess what? The marriage is as good as dead. You just might be living with a stranger in the house, and then of course you might have interference by in-laws, especially when your race or your religion. These are things that shouldn't really matter when people understand themselves. But the truth is this: people take this seriously. If your religious beliefs don't align, if you are still tribalistic, if you say you're not from this country or from another country, when you look at these things and not the person with you in the house, if you allow these things to get to you, yes, it creeps in, because at the end of the day, these in-laws want to push you out of the house. Well, these things, they all combine to create wedges, to create frictions in the house, and at the end of the day, one party that is not strong enough might decide, you know what, this is not what they want. They want their peace of mind. I want to go their way. What else? Cohabitation. Yes. Many of us today would think it's easy. Yes, we just jump and live with one another in the house. But guess what? In doing so, we share the responsibilities of marriage. Each time the other partner wants to get serious and think about putting the ring on the finger, guess what? We think about responsibility and we just decide, we have cold feet. We gotta think twice about it, and that's why, check it out, most people who live in cohabitation at the end of the day, even when they decide to get married, it's all shattered, because before they thought they were free to do anything they wanted to do. But as soon as they get married, everybody comes out with their real characters, and then it shatters. And then of course, unplanned pregnancies, unplanned things we got to plan, we got to talk, communication. Yes, people say communicate, but partners have to listen. We have to listen to understand one another, comprehend what they're trying to tell you, and make use of it. It's like, look, knowledge is not enough in life. Applied knowledge is what counts in life. Of course, we talk about financial demands, from both parts of the family. It might be too much. It might just be too much, and people might complain. What do you think? Yes, these are things that are really fun. Forget about beauty. Forget about wants and all that. But when we put all these things together, the pressure from society, people wanting to marry all of a sudden because of pressure from society. And then when you get married, you realize this is not what you've been asking for. Tell me what you think. Yes, these are some of the things our research led us to about, that causes divorces amongst the millennials. Now, let's look at the shout out for the day. We're going to Kenya for today. Yes, our shout out today is Mr. James Mwangi. Yes, we are honored to list Mr. James Mwangi as one of Africa's rising stars. Why? Check this out. Yes, he spotted potential at the bottom of Kenya's economic pyramid. Yes, he took the Equity Bank from pit player to a market maker in the thriving financial sector. Not satisfied, he used this momentum to turn Equity Bank into a leading player in the mobile money space, as well as expanding into regional markets like South Sudan and Democratic Republic of Congo, becoming Kenya's most international bank in the process. We need this push and acumen all over Africa. Please do not stop, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Mwangi, we are very honored to name you as one of our shoutouts for the day. Thank you so much, sir. Keep the flag flying. Once again, if you look up, you see my information. I really look forward to discussing with you about things that will lead us forward. I believe in you.